let me get this all pulled up here. So recording started. I should have this uploaded to you and sent to you by tomorrow morning, depending on how, because I've got a lot of stuff I'll have to upload. So that I will be able to send you the link around then if that works for you.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. So what got you interested in coaching?
Just watching your YouTube videos, to be honest.
Okay.
You made a lot of points that helped me with my gameplay.
Awesome. Glad to
Yeah.
hear. Glad to hear. As of the forum, I see. Well, actually, that was only a few days ago. It was Masters 1. So, nice. Congrats. That's good stuff. Okay, let's keep going through here. So, what do you hope to get out of the session? I want to know how to further improve my performance and mindset as a player, so I can become more consistent and take the next step in my gameplay. Okay, so how long have you been playing?
So I've been playing. Uh, so I played a lot like when Overwatch 1 was first released, but was horrible. I was like a bronze player,
Mm-hmm.
and then I stopped for about 2 years. Got back into it around the end of Overwatch 1,
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of dropped it again. But like as of the past 5 or so months, I've been getting back into it,
Okay.
and I've been ranking up.
Okay. Why is that?
Um, Variety of factors. I'm busy with I have a band and I'm like pretty busy with that and school and stuff like that. So I just kind of pick it up when I have the time. But now
Okay.
I've been kind of getting more into it.
Sure, sure. I guess my question is what has been encouraging you to take it more seriously recently, the last several months?
Um, Probably ranking up the masters because I was stuck plat for a while and
Okay.
having kind of broken that barrier and like started to rank up a little bit. I kind of wanted to try and take it more seriously to see if
Yeah.
I can get
Okay.
to GM.
Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense then. Okay. And then you are mostly support. So why is that? What got you started in the support thing? I assume you've played a lot of different heroes along that time, but kind of settling on improving the support. Why?
Um, Honestly, it's because of Zen. I just play so much Zen, and I
Good
just like how
choice.
the hero functions. Yeah.
Good choice.
Thanks.
Yeah, yeah. He's a good one. He's my most played hero by far. I think he's freaking amazing. So, okay. What is it about Zen that appeals to you so much then?
Um, I don't know. It's just the way he can put out so much offensive pressure and like kind of do a lot of the things like himself.
Right.
Uh, I I don't know. I've always had the issue with Overwatch of want to be the I don't want to ever feel like it's like there's something that's out of my control.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously there's factors outside of my control, but I want to like try and have the most individual impact that I can.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
there's also the team play aspect of Discord and things like that. It just feels like a fun character to me.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, he's very satisfying. He's like one of those heroes that there's so much complexity through his simplicity. I really enjoy it a lot. Okay. So then goals, short term is Grandmaster, narrow your window of consistency. What do you mean narrow your window of consistency?
So, like I have a lot of like variance in my play.
Mm,
Like I feel
mm.
like some days I come out and I'm playing at a GM level and some days I'm playing at a diamond level. Like it feels like there's a lot of variance, a lot of factors that kind of like determine how well I'm playing,
Right.
and I want to see if I can control that a little bit more.
Right. Okay. Well, let's do some investigation to see if we can find out some of those reasons. A lot of it is just uncontrollable, right? Everybody
Mhm.
struggles with it inconsistency, but we'll see if there's any factors that might be contributing. Long-term goals to reach top 500, become a very consistent, high-level flex support. Okay. So, number one factor for our investigation: sleep. Talk to me about your sleep.
It's not great, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. Why is that? Is it a health thing, or just busy, or stuff to get done, or what?
A lot of the times it's like it's kind of busyness, but also it's just like I just like I'll get home at like 5 and then I'll just stay up and play Overwatch or I'll I have a lot of things that like push my sleep schedule back, but I also have
Sure.
to wake up pretty early
Sure.
for
Sure. Now
school.
you're in
So
school at the moment, yeah?
yeah, I'm in college.
Okay, okay. What year?
I'm going into my junior year.
Okay, makes sense. And so what kind of things are demanding your time?
Um, Mostly it's the fact that I'm a commuter. and
Okay.
my school's like 40 minutes away, so I have to wake up
Ah.
a little bit earlier, and I get home a little bit later.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, that's definitely a huge contributing factor. I mean, there's stuff that you can do in the car, but ultimately driving is driving, right? So,
Yeah.
okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Well, I mean, here's the thing with sleep. So, sleep doesn't demand perfection in order for you to get performance. But if anyone wants to be like a high-level competitor at anything, you're going to need more sleep. I see that you do some music. Do you play music?
Yeah, I'm a drummer.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Awesome. That's awesome. So that's even that will benefit more from the alertness that you're going to get from the extra sleep. So it's usually you saying 4 to 6 hours. Here's the thing for improving things that are that bad, right? You don't need to fix it for it to improve. So for you, it's like 5 to 6 is already a significant improvement. How often are you getting 4 hours of sleep per night?
Like probably twice or 3 times a week.
Right. So, honest question, is it going to be reasonable that you're able to completely remove the 4 hours of sleep and make it 5?
Yeah.
Okay. Then that's all you need to worry about. Like, honestly, don't do any more than that. Just don't let it ever be 4. If it's 5, we live with that. We live with that. Make that a habit. We have another talk in like 4, 5, 6 months, or you talk with yourself for 5, 6 months, maybe revisit it, but you don't need to fix it. You just need to get it to that level.
Perfect.
That's honestly like the best way of approaching things like that is it's like, if the worst thing you could do right now is make yourself sleep 8 hours a day, because it's not going to happen. You and I both know, right? So let's just find something that you can actually stick with and then roll with that. Make sense?
Yeah.
And I promise you that's going to help other things. It might be not be like life changing, but it's going to help. Okay. By the way, that is almost without exception the number 2 contributing factor to consistency issues is sleep. Number 1 would be playtime. But okay, let's keep looking here. So long term, talk about this. Okay, so then talk to me about that number 1 factor, your playtime. How much do you play on average per day, per week?
That's the thing. It's very like sporadic. I don't like to play for like I don't like to go on and play like 1 or 2 games. I either play like 2 full splits, or like yesterday I played 4 full splits, or I just don't play for a week.
Right.
Which is not good, but
well, we know where your inconsistency comes from, at least. At least a very clear answer there. And I guess the idea is that similarly to your sleep, I could sit here and tell you exactly the most efficient way to improve, okay? And that's going to be 3 to 4 hours of ranked every single day without exception, with a short warm-up, focusing on Zen, Kiriko, and pretty much just that, okay? But that's not going to happen, right? It's not going to happen. So you need to kind of be honest with yourself here and with where you're at right now. What's a level or a step in the right direction from where you're at right now?
I could probably play like 2 or 3 hours every day.
Every day? You sure you're not gonna
well, I would definitely skip days. I would skip days.
Okay.
But like I could sort of like catch up if that would help.
Well, no, it wouldn't, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't even worry about catching up. Because the thing is, I mean, you know how it is, right? Like cramming in homework and cramming in Overwatch. And homework, at least you can kind of have the answers float around in your head for 12 hours and then just enough to get it down on a piece of paper. But Overwatch, that's not good enough. It's not about actually knowing the answers. It's about actually being able to demonstrate the skill, right? And that's something that you can't cram. So the reason why that's important is because you can't make up for lost time, really. There's a hard limit to how much you can actually like process, learn, digest, and improve at in a specific day. So if you miss a 2 to 3 hour block, if you want to do 3 to 4 hours the next day, that's fine. But any more than that's a waste of time. Unless you're just playing for fun at that point. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so being honest, where do you think is like, let's say, set the bar low. 2 to 3 hours a day. How many days per week do you think you can get that done? 2, 3?
I could probably do 3 or 4.
Okay, 3 or 4. Is that better than what you're doing right now?
Much better.
Okay. And so then with both your sleep and your training schedule, we've made significant improvements, not massive, but significant improvements in terms of the way that you're approaching things. And if you're able to focus on those 2 things, your inconsistency, will improve noticeably. It won't be fixed. It won't go away. It won't even be like, wow, that's so much better. It will be, okay, yeah, it's a little better. Yeah. And that's all we need. And in addition to that, that will be not only help with your inconsistency, that will actually be a more consistent way to improve as a whole, right? Now, to hit Grandmaster with this, I mean, you're so close as it is. So I would say for the average person, your current schedule to hit Grandmaster would be tough, but you're pretty close. So I think improving where you're at, it's possible it would get you Grandmaster and hit and sit there with this current schedule. Maybe GM5, GM4, GM3 even. But I think we just need to improve your schedule and see what happens to your ranked over the course of like 1 or 2 months. Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything worth getting for is going to take time, as you very well know. So I think this is an objective improvement. And so once we sit at this point, let's just see what happens, right? See what happens. Month and a half. See how you're doing. Are you still having fun? Are you burned out? Is it too much? Is it not enough? I don't know. We'll cross that road when we get there. What do you think?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
That seems like it would be a good improvement.
Sure. I think we stick it with that. Like I said, it's the same thing with sleep. Like, let's not be unreasonable with what we need to, like, aiming for the moon and then we trip and fall flat in our face. Let's just get better. Okay, let's keep going here. So, what do you feel is holding you back from improving? A combination of factors. Mentality. Let's start with that one.
I don't know. It feels like I go on huge loss streaks or I go on huge win streaks, and I get like very tilted, and sometimes it feels like I'm not a one trick, but I'm like I play like 20 hours Zen to every like 4 or 5 hours Kiriko.
Right.
So it feels like when I try and like force a hero and it doesn't work out, I kind of blame myself because I see everybody else doing like unrated to GMs, and I'm like, if they can do it, I should be able to do it.
Right. Right.
And I kind of get down on myself for that.
Well, at least one of these factors is you're running a marathon with ankle weights and wondering why it's hard, at least in terms of your training time and your sleep schedule. So at least some of this should be alleviated a little bit, right? Your mentality might be okay. It's just being put under a lot of duress right now. So we can attack it from both ways. We talked about things that we can do to make it easier, and we can also talk about the ways that you can think about to make your mentality stronger at the same time. So one thing with your hero pool right here, you've got like a 4-to-1 ratio with Zen and Kiriko. Why are you playing Kiriko?
Honestly, Kiriko just kind of comes naturally for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not a great Kiriko player, but I would say I'm
Sure.
pretty good. I play a more offensive style of Kiriko because it just kind of feels like I'm playing Zen.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's good. She's good at that. That's kind of like what you want to be doing most of the time with Kiriko anyway. Okay. So I guess my point though is that if you feel like there's times where you're like, oh, I'm just not as good at Kiriko, or are there any other supports as well? You said Ana, Bap maybe a little bit too.
Yeah, I play a little bit of Ana. Lately I've been playing a little bit of Brig and Lucio.
Okay. I mean, you might have to kind of come to terms with where you're putting your time is where you're going to see results. So if you want your Kiriko or your Ana or your Bap to be up to speed with your Zen, then not only are you going to need to fix the ratio, you might need to favor those heroes over Zen a little bit for them to play catch up. And that will tank your rank, just a heads up. I just recently was just screwing around in ranked about 3 weeks ago, and I was having a devil of a time with Ana. Like 75% win rate with Zen and like 38% win rate with Ana. And so I just had to like let it go, play more Ana than Zen, like 70% Ana, till I was able to kind of shake off some of the rust. But like that's kind of where you're at now. Now, you can one-trick Zen to Grandmaster, and you could two-trick it with Kiriko. And if Kiriko comes naturally to you and you're like, I don't even need to practice Kiriko that much, she always feels good, or you only pick her in certain situations, then you probably don't need to put too much time on her. But if you're talking about these other supports and the Brig and the Lucio, I get it that you're playing that probably more for fun, I assume.
Honestly, no. Mostly
really?
Because I get flamed or something and I have to switch.
See, this is why we ask these questions. Elaborate, please.
A lot of the times when I'm playing Zen, people are like, why do you have 5k healing in 10 minutes?
No shot.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. People get mad like, oh, you should be healing me more. I know I'm on ball Tracer Sombra, but it's your fault that we're not healing more, blah 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 blah. And
Mm.
I kind of cave in because sometimes I just don't want to be the problem.
Yep.
And I just
And then do you win those games?
sometimes
Sometimes.
I don't. But I mean, a lot of the times I don't because I'm playing a suboptimal hero.
Let me get a good gift for you. Surely they'll have something. So here's my recommendation for you to respond, if at all, to these allegations in team chat. Okay, it's just a classic. I mean, even the way that you're describing the thing, where you're like, "Oh, we're on Ball Tracer Sombra," and they're complaining that at 5k healing, you already know they're an idiot, right?
Yeah.
But why are you caving? Is it just because you're so tired of the shrieking, or what?
Combination of that, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe I am wrong. Maybe the healing is the issue.
You're not wrong. You're never wrong. I mean, okay, let me be honest with you. Are you running Briggs in with Reinhardt?
No, I specifically don't do that. I only run Briggs in with ball.
Okay, so then are you running like Lucio Zen with Ramatra?
I never run Lucio Zen.
Okay. So what are you talking about? Why do you mean we're healing? Like, I just basically named, you could probably guess the niche situations where Zen is probably not going to work with your tank pick. Now, you could also blame your tank for picking a pick that doesn't synergize with your hero. That streak goes two ways, no? But long story short, if you know the very, very niche situations where really Zen might not be able to provide enough utility to compensate for the lack of healing, then why? You know?
I don't know. Are there any like I know Zen probably isn't great with like Rhine or Ramatra.
He can work with both of those heroes. You're talking ranked, right? Like, if you know
Yeah.
your hero well, and you know that, for example, if you're running, like, let's say, Ana Zen with Rhine, okay? You're not going to be able to speed your Rhine in and out of situations that are, like, cooldown advantage. But you're going to be able to win every single Rhine trade in the neutral, right? And if you play your distance, you're also going to be able to help control off angles a lot better than a Lucio can, especially in more open maps. So a lot of this stuff is like kind of like technical whatever, but if you know the hero, you know the hero. I want you in Zen, not Lucio.
All right.
You know? So if you're like, I want to play Kiriko because Kiriko is good at this map, play Kiriko. But don't play Lucio or Break.
That's the other thing. The JQ meta right now, I kind of feel myself in like an awkward spot with Zen.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, it feels like every game, it kind of needs to be either Kiriko Ana, Kiriko Lucio, some combination of that. And it feels like whenever I play Zen, I'm kind of the odd one out because we don't have Suzu for the JQ.
Yeah.
Or we don't have enough uptime for the JQ.
So bend the meta to your will. What can Zen provide in the Junker Queen mirror? Discord, right? So anytime that JQ messes up, she's dead.
Right.
And also, one of the things that JQ does not do well is she does not control off angles and flanks well, compared to Winston or Diva or Sigma or even heroes like Ball and Doomfist, right? So what you do with your playing Zen is your DPS will win every duel. If you're not killing their tank, then you should win every duel with Harmony and Discord. Right? Now I'm being facetious a little bit here, but that's the general idea, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think Zenyatta is good enough to justify the meta, but what's actually funny is that when JQ was meta back in Alpha, okay, Overwatch League Stage 3, a lot of teams actually theory tested with Zenyatta Lucio. A lot of teams did in the mirror. And it wasn't actually too bad. The only reason that they couldn't make it work is Zen was a little bit too squishy to shout rush. It didn't work as well. But teams were unironically giving it a shot. And this was, by the way, before Tracer. This was like when Tracer was trash as well. If Tracer had been a little bit stronger, we might have seen more Zenyatta, actually. But yeah, long story short is you're not crazy. You're not crazy. Make it work. Now, if you're top 500, you might have to start to flex and fill a little bit. Otherwise, you're going to kind of, the ankle weights might be too heavy, right? I do think that Zenyatta is probably not optimal, but you're Masters 1. And with SR inflation, that's the equivalent of like Masters 5, right? Or Diamond 1, right? So if this is Overwatch 1 and I had a 3470 player asking me, hey, can I play Zenyatta into Junker Queen? I would be spewing my drink across the wall. Of course you can, right? That's essentially where you're at, right? You're very, very high Diamond, low Masters equivalent in Overwatch 1. And now that we're in Overwatch 2, nothing's changed. Play Zen.
All right.
Kiriko works too. Just play what you want. Screw these guys, man. Like, they don't know what they're talking about, and half the time, and you know how it is, right? You cave in, and then you end up losing the game anyway, and then you get flamed. Oh, if we don't have this like brain dead Zen player, like, well,
yeah,
right? Or you play the hero, you don't know how to play it, and then they flame you, and it's like they're just miserable people. So the best thing that you could do is contribute as best as you possibly can to the hero that you want to play, and that's going to make the whole process so much more enjoyable. And leave voice too if it starts to become a problem. I'm not like, especially like your rank. It's just not worth it. Use your eyeballs. Be a team player with your eyeballs. That's how. And ping, for crying out loud. Even less of a reason to be in voice.
Yeah, I've been using ping for Discord. It seems to be helpful.
That's fine. It's generally pretty obvious because whoever you're discording should be just being shot anyway, if that makes sense. So, but yeah, sure. You ask some game meta knowledge when not to pick Zen, what maps are good for what support, any of those that you want to elaborate on. Obviously, we kind of talked about that a little bit, but are there any situations that you feel like need to be clarified?
Yeah, like specifically for me, King of the Hill has always been a struggle.
Yep.
Because it feels like forcing Zen into a lot of those maps is not ideal, because it feels like very obvious that there should be a Lucio in most of the comps.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just kind of feels awkward.
Yeah.
With my hero pool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I actually coached an Ashe player last night, and he was saying the same thing. And the issues with Ashe and Zenyatta and Koth are pretty much the same thing, right? Anywhere where there's like shorter sight lanes and like a lot of like fast respawns, it's not great for Zen, right? But again, that doesn't mean you can't play Zen. Just has to be, you have to be a lot more heads up on it. Do you have a Koth code?
Yes.
That might be one fun to look at in a few minutes then, because we could talk a lot about something called dynamic positioning, which is something that I would like to think I developed, but I don't really think I did when I was working with London last season, and it's really important for squishy flex supports. Okay. Lack of consistent sleep schedule. Lack of playing. Lost streaks. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot more from your forum. Do you have any other questions for me?
No, not really.
Okay. Let's start from the ground up. So I'm gonna run you through the rigmarole. All right. Let's talk about Zen. So all right. Zenyatta is the most powerful space control support in the entire game, and it's not even close. And by space, I mean powerful portions of the map, usually off angles, left and right, and high grounds. Okay. And the reason that he's so strong is because if you were to split up the map into the fight on main on the choke and the fight on the flanks left and right, what does he provide that other supports don't to help with the flanks?
Discord, snap kick.
Right. Discord, snap kick, harmony orb, and the most important thing is his range spam, right? Now you could look at somebody like a Batiste and be like, Ana, she's got a sniper rifle as well, but nobody provides as consistent or as high level of range threat. And the reason why that's important is if we're talking about space, like let's say that this is a practice range was a legitimate map, right? We would have to worry about spamming high grounds, right? Okay, we got to worry about this high ground over here. What about this flank way over there? And what about this flank way over there, right? Zen can contribute to all of these while standing right here. And that's what makes Zen super unique, right? You see, in Ana, she can help a little bit, but for example, Sleep Dart, Nade, those things are hard to land at that far of a range, right? She doesn't do it as quickly as consistently. I would put it this way. If you had a 1v1 between tracers, there is no better support than a Harmony on you and a Discord on the enemy tracer. It's in a lot of ways for a lot of DPS and even for a lot of tanks, it's actually better than a Mercy Pocket. There isn't anything better. That's better than on a pocket. It's in some ways better than a Batiste pocket. But the difference between those is because it's so fast and so easy. And then not only are you getting pocketed by the Zenyatta, he's also shooting the same thing that you're shooting. You see what I'm saying? So the way that you look at Zen is you go, I'm going to either take 1v1s and apply pressure directly, or I'm going to make any 1v1 that I think is really important and make it totally unfair. And see, that's why so many people hate Discord and call it fundamentally imbalanced. I won't talk about that, but they call it fundamentally imbalanced because it feels like similar to somebody with a damage boost, to where like, how am I supposed to win this when I've got a Discord on me, right? It just, I can't win it. And so for you, your decision as Zen is not only to think about your own life and like what angles and positions that you can take, but also what's the most important 1v1 that's happening right now in terms of space. Not just what's the most important 1v1 about like who's going to kill who, but if we win this high ground battle, like let's say 2 soldiers duking it out, that if we win that means that their soldier doesn't get high ground and my soldier does. You kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for you, it's all about finding where that is, making sure that you're harmonying the person that's fighting for important space and discording the enemy who's also fighting for important space, so that not only your team gets it, but the enemy team doesn't. And if there are no off angles and we're just fighting on main, then win the fight on main. Harmony your tank or your DPS in front of you, DPS the enemy tank or the enemy DPS in front of you, and burn them alive, right? That's what Zenyatta is phenomenal at. Now, the trade-off, obviously, is that he's extremely fragile. So, obviously, cover, corners, distance, range, right? You don't want to get too close to 90% of the Overwatch 2 cast. Very, very important concepts, okay? Now, I talked to you a little bit about dynamic positioning, and we're going to look at a little bit of this in Koth, but I want to talk to you about it really fast in the practice range. And basically, the idea is that if the enemy team knows where you are, and they lock your position down, if you give them time, especially versus compositions with a lot of mobility and speed, they will find you and they will Liam Neeson you, right? They will kill you, okay? So your whole mentality needs to be, I have certain rules like range and cover that are always important. I'm never allowed to break those rules. However, there are not positions on the map that I have to memorize from an ML7 or whatever video that I play. I need to understand that this corner, and so on, right? That there are many positions on many maps that I can play, and a lot of it is contextual. Now, why is that important, especially on a map like Koth? Think about what I was saying with the speed.
Because everything is kind of like more fluid.
Right. Right, exactly. You don't know where your team is going to take the fight. And what happens if the enemy team knows exactly where you're standing and you haven't moved for the past 5 minutes?
They're just going to push you.
They're going to find you and they will kill you, right? They're going to eventually set up an engage, a dive, or a flank, and they're going to find you and they're going to mess you up. So what you do is you actually juke it. You juke it, not by doing some crazy 80-80 strafing thing. You just, they're starting to rotate towards me, I'm going to move to this corner. Okay, they're starting to rotate towards me, I'm going to move to this corner, right? And it could even be offensive rotations, right? To where they think you're setting up here and you're actually walking forward to the next corner and they entirely miss you. That's the best thing you can be doing for Zen, is to stick with your fundamentals of positioning, but then also not become entirely static, to be hard to predict and hard to nail down. So you have to compensate for your lack of mobility by utilizing your mobility before the fight actually happens. So in other words, you can't lunge, jump, teleport, or fly away from the dive when it happens, so you have to get your butt moving early, right? You have to be unpredictable. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Now, we'll actually see what I'm talking about in-game. Last thing I'll say was with Trance, this is something I've been talking a little about with recently, with some of my Zenyatta sessions, but just use it. Just use it.
Okay.
If it's to save your life, but to win a fight, use it. I would rather see you use it to save your life, and then they use Dragon Blade afterwards and win the fight, than you to die, lose the fight anyway, and then go back next fight still facing Dragon Blade, right? Because at least when you just use it, there's a chance that you can win the fight during the duration of the trance before the blade is used. Does that make sense?
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely have a bad habit of
hard.
Trans.
It's hard because especially with how open space Overwatch 2 is, like how spread out the off angles and the fights are, if you're not quick on the draw, you're not going to have like a trillion years to just slowly pull it. There's not going to be grab dragon combos all the live long days, so you're going to have to be quick. Okay, any questions?
Nope.
Okay, let's get this code and let's apply what we actually talked about to what we see.
All right. Here we go. Oh, sorry, I went in it.
No, you're good.
Here we go. Share code. Oops. There we go.
Perfect. Are you John Lennon?
I am John Lennon.
That's great. Imagine being John Lennon in an Overwatch game. That pun was intentional. Okay.
I was thinking about it. Wasn't
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. It wasn't my best. Okay. So Kiriko. I want to see some Zenyatta here. Okay. Let's take a look here. So
Last 2 maps are Zen. So.
yeah. Perfect. Okay. So what made you go Zen here? Just the sightlines?
Because we lost first map. And I wasn't on Zen.
Oh dear. Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm down. Okay, so this is like a perfect example. Like, if you look at this comp, you wouldn't necessarily say hard dive comp necessarily, but Echo and Doomfist, they'll lock you down, right?
Yeah.
They'll lock you down. There is nothing that's going to peel off a full stickies and slam punch. Not lamp, not shift, nothing. No corner, no nothing. So if you're not moving about the map, then you're in trouble. So I want to ask you a question. What space of the map is really important for you to be controlling right now?
High ground.
Okay, why?
Because then their Sojourn with the Mercy Pocket will just be able to tap everyone down, and the Ana will have space to heal everybody and put pressure out.
Okay. So if I were to ask you what's the most important thing that's happening on the battlefield right now, would you be able to tell me?
Well, our ball is
Doing bad.
slept and about to die over there.
So let's ask me
maybe
you
that.
a question. Well, but can you help with that without risking your life?
No.
Okay, so then let's ask you a question again. What's the most important position that your team is holding right now that you need to hold?
High ground.
Okay, are you sure? Look carefully. So you're saying high ground?
Oh, where?
Right.
The choke right there?
Right. Look at your Hanzo.
Oh, he has sights on everything.
Right. So what you're doing is you're doing the indirect Overwatch 1 ML7 memorize a spot mindset.
Yeah.
Okay? Where you're like, this position is strong because high ground, therefore it good, right? And you're not necessarily wrong, but remember it's dynamic. It changes, right?
Yeah.
So you roll out high ground, I'm fine with that. But right now, you have like these set positions that you think are powerful, so therefore that's your answer. But the problem with that is, as we can see right now, it's very important that you win what duel right now. I wouldn't even say a duel, or what space, what angle.
The angle of the, like, connecting the point to their spawn.
Right. So from here, your Hanzo is actually the one that needs to be supported. Now, good job. He's actually Harmony Orbed. But I don't know if you knew that here. So the reason why that's important is then now you need to put your attention on making sure that this guy keeps pocket. And you can see why it's important. Do you see what he can see from this position?
Yeah, he's got a lot of targets.
Got a lot of sight lines. Something to consider, okay? So you're going to toss Harmony Orb there. He overextends. Great work.
I don't know why I tried to shoot that.
That's okay. You might have thought, I mean, honestly, I don't know. This happens. We see red, we start shooting. You know, it happens. All right, just something to kind of keep in mind there. So for you, what's the most important duel on the battlefield? Can I contribute to it with space, with harmony, with discord, with range? This is exactly what we're talking about, though. So you look here, you're just a little bit slow to helping the most powerful position on the entire map, which is their high ground right now. Now, why is it the most powerful position on the map? Has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that it's high ground. It has everything to do with the fact that this Hanzo is playing significantly more aggressive than the rest of your team.
Mm-hmm.
If your Hanzo was here, you need to pocket your Hanzo. If your Hanzo is here, you need to pocket your Hanzo. I don't care if your Hanzo is dueling somebody over here, you need to pocket your Hanzo, right? So don't memorize this spot as powerful. Go, this guy in aggressive position, therefore I help him. That's it.
Okay.
And you need to do that quickly. Too slow. Because the thing with Zen, obviously, is there's no catch-up, right? Either you did it quickly, or there's no at all, because 30 healing per second ain't going to save anybody's life if it wasn't there to begin with.
Yeah.
Now, this is a little bit of like, let's talk about dynamic positioning here, right? So what's the problem with your positioning right now? There's two problems.
I just exposed myself to every flanker.
Yep, you're standing in the middle of the open.
Much cover.
Okay. Also, how close are you to the enemy threats?
Right now, pretty close.
Pretty close, right? Too close, right? So then where should you be instead?
Back towards the point more.
Back towards the point. Okay. So then what would you do from here?
Maybe right side of the
So
point.
here?
Yeah.
Okay. What would you do from here?
If they push me, I could fall back onto like the mega back there. I don't know if it's a mega.
It's a mini, but yeah. Okay. But what are your rotation options?
I could fall back to the room left side if I'm playing where I am right now.
Okay. Okay.
And then I would have fall back all the way to spawn.
Okay. Sure. Here's a question. What about this positioning right here?
Yeah.
Okay. And then would you want to stay here?
Probably not stay there.
Where would you
Probably
rotate to?
Depends where they're going.
Sure. So what are your options?
You could either go back towards point more and fight on point if they push back into that choke right there, or you can go left if someone on the left needs help, or if you need to put out pressure that way on the, say, the Sojourn.
I like that position for that exact same reason. That right there is the perfect example of the dynamic positioning that I was talking about. Okay. Where you take a position that gives you options for left, right rotations. And so if that Doomfist slams, for example, if that Doomfist slams up top here, right? You know what he's going to do next engage. You know what he's going to do in about 10 seconds, right?
Yeah, he's going to come.
So then what do? Do you stay here?
Fall back left.
Right, you rotate left. What happens if the Echo Mercy flies up this direction and Doomfist rotates this direction?
Fall back right.
Fall back right, right? You consistently rotate away, and you only rotate towards them if you think you have an advantage or you have a 1v1 that you want to catch them by surprise, right? That happens all the time with Zen, but that's something to kind of keep in mind. Here, you're not only standing out in the open, but you don't have many rotation options. Well, now you have rotation options. The funny thing here is like this positioning is terrible from you in terms of like the fundamentals, but you actually end up dynamically rotating without even realizing it. I want you to watch this from their Echo's perspective. Look at this. She's like, what is this and doing? What is she doing? You kind of juke it, and then you even the Doomfist has a hard time knowing where you are, right? He's like, he kind of loses sight of you, right? He had no idea where you were before you even rotated. That's more on him than on you, but it's kind of funny. Okay. A lot of aggressive Zen play is finding ways to interpret these kind of rotations in ways that allow you to get kills without compromising your life, if that makes sense. It's like an art, right? Knowing when you can push, knowing when you can pull, and always doing so from a little bit of distance. So they're on Sombra now, congratulations.
Yeesh.
Now.
I always have trouble playing against Sombras.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's a reason for that, right? So, where should you be right now? You see this?
Definitely not towards them. Definitely the other way.
Now, if you think you can hit your shots, sure, but the kill opportunity is over, right? So stop pressing W. You see this? This is where the mistake begins, right here.
Yep.
Why are you pressing W? Right? There's no advantage here. You're not catching her by surprise. You don't have trance, so you can't ego that either. So where should you be right now?
Probably just falling straight back to point.
Okay,
and
falling straight back.
Return back to that spot.
Sure. Now here's another question. Could you flip the map on these guys? What happens if you rotate to point and flipped all the way over here?
That would be good.
Okay, risky. You would need more information about where the rest of their team is, but it's a thought. Okay, now this is aggressive, right? You could even flip the map all the way in deep here, right? Very aggressive, but there's logic behind that aggression. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think we did end up doing that later, but I don't know if it was this map. Also, this is stupid.
I mean, maybe. My main problem here is that you're not really focusing on the support aspect, right? Like, I would like to see a Harmony here and a Discord here on the Doom, and then a rotation, right, if anything, right?
Okay.
Now, what you are doing, though, is, again, they're on Doomfist, Sombra, Echo Mercy. And yet, somehow, you haven't seen either one of them, right? Again, your fundamentals are kind of goofed, but you're accidentally dynamically rotating. You're dodging the dives entirely, right? They have no idea where you are.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is good. And by good, I mean you're hitting that one thing well. Also, don't do this. Get out of here. Where should you go?
Oh,
right
don't
now?
just stay on the point.
Don't just stay in the point. Let them flip and win the fight.
Okay.
Right, so what? Because this fight is still winnable, right? Like you guys are like, oh, we're down 2, but then like look at this, right? I guess this fight was lost. Never mind. I still would have preferred if you had 3 people alive rotating back towards the mega.
Okay.
But yeah, okay. So I guess I've given you a little bit of a sneak peek of like the whole dynamic positioning foolishness. Okay. So now what I want you to do is to try and apply what we talked about here.
Okay.
So they've got a lot of ults. This stuff is even more important in these scenarios, right? Where should you be pushing? Where should you be rotating? Where should you just start? Where should you start? At least to scout things out and figure out where people are, okay?
We should just walk down left side.
Okay, so like here? Like here?
Yeah.
Okay, what's
That
good
would
about
be
this?
You have sight lines on all the major like low ground positions. You can kind of scope out if they're out alone or if there's someone out of position.
Let's let it develop and then let's see what you see. What do you do from here?
Probably Discord on the Doomfist.
Okay, so would you move your positioning from this position right here?
Only if I was Dove.
Yeah, not a lot you could do here. Just spam. Okay, so then let's play it out a few more seconds. Now, let's say the Echo, Mercy, and Doomfist engage up from top here. They set up here. You see kind of what they're doing here?
Yeah, they
now
can set up for Is my team with me or is my team where they
fight's
are?
happening exactly what's going on here, right? Like, Bap is walking forward, Cass is taking high, Hans is in here, Ball's over here.
Rotate towards the team then.
Towards this direction?
Yes.
But you're rotating towards where the... So, like, how would you do that, I guess, would be my question.
If they were going over the building, go under.
So here?
Or there? Yeah.
Okay, so here's what's going to happen. You're going to walk here, they're going to EMP, Doomfist ult or whatever, and you're dead instantly.
Okay.
Fight over. You've lost.
Yeah.
Okay? You don't have trance. There's no reason for you to do this. Bad move.
Okay. Just back towards spawn?
Nope. Try this.
In towards left?
As soon as you get the opportunity to. Be sneaky, go left.
Okay.
What would that provide?
Sort of like I think you would get the distraction element because everyone would be chasing after you.
Well,
but
I
also
want you to go first, right? You would need to be. You would need to be, and with a lot of these rotations, you don't want to be the guy leading the charge, right? You need to wait for your ball or your DPS or whatever that other tank or DPS is to create a distraction, and then you're gonna start your rotation. Okay. So, like, let's say you were to go like around now. Okay. So where would you go?
Towards the mega.
Okay. And then what would you do from this area here, or even further rotations? What would you do?
Just spam and then
what would
try and make progress towards the left side.
Sure. What would this do for your team or for the enemy team?
I mean, for the enemy team, now they're out of position.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
They would have to rotate towards their own spawn a little bit more.
You're creating a crossfire now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so you're saying that they would be still there.
Well, they'd still... We're still assuming the Doomfist and Echo are hovered around this positioning.
Okay.
And if you're the Doomfist and Echo, you're now like, okay, well, we have EMP and Doomfist ult, but now that we have... They're just slowly taking angles on us. They're splitting up. They're creating distance. Now they just can't EMP 6 people and win the fight. If the Sombra Doomfist hard engaging you, whatever, you've not only created distance for yourself, but you've also bought a lot of time to where you can actually just keep rotating, and they might kill you over here if they find you. But that's okay, right? Because what's that going to mean for the rest of your team?
They're gonna get like much better positioning. They're gonna have
Correct.
much more space.
Right. You've actually created an opportunity for you guys to actually win this fight, right? That's what we need here. When they have a lot of ults or running some sort of dive comp, you do not sit all in a huddled clump like scared sheep and give them every off angle and every flank and let every single ult hit 4 people, right? Now, if you have trance, maybe, but that's not going to work here, right? Like if you walk here, you're just going to get EMP'd or Doomfist ult and you're dead. So why walk here? Fight dirty, right? Now, still play cover and still don't play here. I want you over here and over here. Like I want as much distance as you possibly can, right? But
So
do you see what I'm saying?
Go on.
No, go ahead.
I have a question. So
Please.
So you're saying play more split with dive or against dive?
When you don't have an answer to their dive,
Okay.
you have to take an angle and try to create or contest space away from the dive. Yes. You need to create an off angle.
Okay.
Right. Create an off angle, help your ball on point, help your Hanzo from a distance, make them reach to get to you. Don't give them a 5-man EMP. If you looked at how Overwatch League was playing Ana and Zenyatta dive, Ana Zen they tried to split as much as they could. So you had to pick and choose, and the other support was free to punish, right? Now, optimally here, you would be playing within Zen BAP LOS, right? To where he could still lamp you and pocket you. But worst case scenario, if you sell yourself and you just die, your BAP is totally free to do whatever he wants. No cooldowns wasted, perfect high ground, perfect positioning, can do as much damage as he'd like. Whereas if you're here, you're not going to be able to peel for your BAP. He's dead. Your BAP's not going to be able to peel for you. You're dead. The lamp isn't going to save you. Now, if you had defense matrix and lamp and trance and shit, right? But this is Overwatch 2. You're not going to get that. You're dead. Either you trance the dive or you fight dirty and fight for space. Make them pay. Make sense?
So what do I do in a situation where, like, let's say I'm on left
Yes.
and like a Sombra dives me? How do I pressure that Sombra, or how do I maneuver the Sombra to get out of that? Or do I just
beat her in a 1v1?
Okay.
Beat her in a 1v1.
Simple
I mean,
enough.
really, if your fundamentals with your cover usage are really good and you're fighting her on health packs and creating distance, she should not be able to kill you in a 1v1. She should only be able to kill you in a 1v1 if she gets off hack and you're standing out in the open. And the other thing about Sombra is if you know they're on Sombra, you know where she's going to be going, right? So there should be no surprise of, oh no, there's a Sombra on me. Duh, that's what you're waiting for. You're waiting for her to go for you, right? And I actually think if you're ready for that, and you're playing cover, you have the advantage in that duel. You have the slight advantage in that duel. The other thing you could do as well is during this rotation, you can listen. You hear that? What does that mean?
EMP.
EMP, so what does that mean for you?
That means that Sombra's not on me.
Right, so what does that mean for you?
I can position myself a little bit more aggressively.
Right. You still want to play cover and stuff, but it's kind of funny. You've actually accidentally kind of done that. Like, I'm not sure why they didn't dive you guys here, but they just didn't. I think it was actually your ball created distraction. I guarantee that Sombra was chasing your ball. Yeah. See, they're chasing your ball. So they chase your ball. Your ball is obviously very good at this, but that's the funny thing is that indirectly you kind of end up accidentally doing what we wanted you to do anyway. Right? The only problem here is that you guys are all grouped up. That's not what we want. I would have liked for your BAP Cassie to stay here. You go with your Hanzo and a flank. I'm not saying necessarily you have to go by yourself, but we do want you to at least to split from the herd whenever you can. You don't win by grouping up as a unit. Like, I mean, look at this. Even this, right? There's too much pressure from this Doomfist going on right now. Look at these people. 1, 2, 3 people turning on a Doomfist. We commit window. He ults, completely shuts down the window anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4 people peeling in the Doomfist. So guess who's gonna die now?
Me.
Nope. Your poor ball.
The Doomfist did not.
Oh
yeah.
Your ball gets no help whatsoever. Nobody's doing anything right now, right? And that's the problem, right? Nobody's controlling any space. Nobody's putting on any angle. Nice job. And so it's a disaster. So this is why, like, Zen is hard, because you notice that how, like, I'm trying to explain it as simply as I can, but I'm gonna be honest, it's a little complicated, right?
Yeah.
It's like an art, right? It's like an art. You need to be as fluid and as quick with this as you possibly can. Now, oh man, I wish we had more time. I would have liked to have actually done some live coaching with you on this, but let's actually see if we can apply it here. Okay, so do you have any questions so far, by the way?
Not yet.
Okay, let's keep going. So, now, they're on Ramattra. So, not exactly a dive tank, but the same things apply. You want distance, and you want a greedy spam angle, right? So, if you just do, all you do is you sit here and you spam, what do you think that Ramatra's going to do?
Back up.
Or?
Shield.
And then?
Walk.
And then, right, Nemesis, he's just going to walk on top of you, right? So...
Oh.
Right? Either he's
gonna...
gonna...
you mean if I'm sitting right there?
Right,
oh, yeah.
right here, right. At some point, he's either going to back up or he's going to walk forward, and then you'll have accomplished not a whole lot. What I want you to do is you could walk forward with your soldier and then go, oh, he's pushing my soldier? What can I do now? Think dynamically.
Take an angle towards the right.
Okay. Do you want to walk in towards here?
No. Back.
Too short of a sight line. Do you see that?
Yeah, back behind that, behind the little structure right there.
Here? Not bad. It's going to take you forever to get there, though. Look at where you're positioned right now.
Maybe left on the sort of plank right there?
Yep. You see this?
Yeah.
Now, you wouldn't be able to stay here forever. They'd poke you out, so you'd rotate back here. You'd support your soldier. Then maybe you'd rotate right and swing over here, right? You keep them guessing, okay? So even in on dive mirror, this is too close. This is too close, right? What has your contribution been so far to this fight? You see how you feel like you have no space whatsoever?
Right.
You have no space, no sightlines, right? You can't spam their backline, can you? Whose fault is that?
Mine.
Right. The other thing to keep in mind as well is because you don't have a shield tank, you need to be paying more attention to taking angles and flanks with how you're creating space. Because your ball is creating space, you just don't see it. He's got the Cassie distracted, right? He's got the Kiriko distracted. Which means that if you were to take a flank like this, is there going to be anybody shooting you?
No. 0
people shooting you. So the only place where you don't have space is main. Why? Why do you have no space here? Who's stopping you?
The Ramattra, the Cassidy, the Kiriko supporting him.
Right. Specifically the Ramattra, though. Okay. Can you beat a Ramattra in a 1v1?
Probably not.
Okay. Can you beat a Ramattra in a 2v1 easily? Well, not even then, right? So how do you get past the Ramattra? How do you get past the Ryan? How do you get past the Zarya? Right? Fill in the blank. Whatever tank this is. Sigma, right? How do you get past it?
I guess kill everyone else.
Right. You go around, right? You don't go through, you go around. So if he's holding here while your ball is hitting backline, you might just need to go around him. Do you see that? You can't brute force him here. Like you see what you're doing here is you're trying to brute force, and that's not working. So this, and it's funny because you do these things naturally and you don't even realize it. Right? You're like, this Ramattra can't catch this guy, right? And so what do? You take a flank, you take an angle, right? A conservative angle, and that's exactly what we want to see, right?
And then I get pumped. Oh.
Yes, but do you see how far he had to go to get that done?
Yes. Yeah, and now he's going to get punished
and now he's going to get punished, right? See, he had to actually punish you from doing that. He had to go in very, very deep rather than just simply, walking forward. Now, this is the thing, is what you did a risk. Yes, absolutely. You still might die, but it's an educated risk, and these are risks that you have to take. So what's the takeaway from what we're seeing on our screen right now? You're too slow to take an angle. And frankly, could have hit a few more shots. Probably should have charged a right click there, right? I mean, look at the HP this guy's at, right? He's probably still going to die, right? So not well executed, too slow, but we got the right idea. And actually, we might eventually win the fight off of that. Now, where do you have space right now? You tell me.
On the right side.
Right. Why do you want the right side?
Because the Ramatra's on left,
Okay.
and when you go on right, you'll have an angle on everybody low ground
That's
there.
what we're
You'll have an
looking
angle.
for, right? You just want a nice juicy sight line. That's all you want. That's all you want. And what happens is you take a nice juicy sight line and then they try to push you out or they dive you. So then you have to play mind games. But ultimately, you want to just sit here and relax. So if they're all the way over on the left, then why are you here?
I guess I just autopiloted there.
You kind of see what I'm saying? Do you see how much harder this position is? There's no reason for you to match the Ramatra here. Just go take a right angle. Take the nice, fattest sight line that you possibly can. You've earned it by killing the Ramatra last fight. That's the problem. You kind of see what I'm saying?
It's weird. It's like I'm almost doing the inverse of what I'm supposed to be doing. Because when the Ramatra goes right, I go right. But when the Ramatra goes left, I go left. When it should be the opposite.
Here's where we can explain it really simply, okay? So to kind of tie all that crap into a nice, tidy little bow, okay? Dynamic positioning is saying I'm essentially playing corner cover with a good sight line. But the corner cover that I choose to take depends on where the enemy team is set up. If there's a Ramatra there, I'm going to go around. If the Doom is setting up for me on the left, then I'm going to go right. If the Monkey is jumping right, then I'm going to go left. If the Sigma is above me, I'm going to go around. You kind of see what I'm saying? Your dynamic positioning is just changing the sight lines and angles that you're taking, responding to what the enemy team is doing. Do you see what I'm saying? If there is a Doomfist staging in here, for crying out loud, go coast. If there's a Winston staging here, don't try and match him. Rotate away. Take the angle over here. Make him jump all the way over here and then just back out and rotate to the other side. You kind of see what I'm saying? That's what your whole mindset with dynamic positioning is. It's rotating away from your threats, but still looking for angles to shoot with. That's what it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's when they rotate right to try and kill you on right, don't stay right, go left. But when you're going left, you're still looking for people to shoot.
So generally I want the more open sight lines rather than a more narrow like spam.
Right. You don't want high ground above you. You don't want a close flank next to you. You don't want a choke where you're like right now, right? This is you're cooked, right? Like not just because of the Cassidy, but also this guy. I mean, you should die here, right? So
I definitely should have.
Right. So you need to be thinking here, okay, so then what angle should you be at right now? I'm fine with the right click peeking, so where should you be?
Right side.
Right side, right? A little bit more distance, a little bit of a better sight line. If the Ramatra pushes right, you can keep backing up, and then as soon as you get to here, now you might start to rotate left, right? This should force your trance. You're very, very fortunate. Now we walk forward, they're backing up, you walk forward. Rubber bandit, back and forth, push and pull, push and pull. Now this map isn't exactly the sexiest map when it comes to that. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty one-dimensional. But especially on a map like, for example, Oasis, oh my days, it's so important that you're able to figure this one out. I'm going to finish this out really quick, and I want to pull up Oasis just so we can demonstrate it, because I want to showcase a little bit more.
Gotcha.
Okay. Ramatra's here. Where should you be? Hey, you're kind of doing it, right?
Yeah.
Go left. Now, you could also, with where he's positioned, you could have been right as well, right? Because he just rained it down the point. Right. So either one works. He's kind of picking nobody's poison, right? He's kind of in the middle of nowhere. And then the other thing, too, is that when you have trance, right? Now, obviously, trance can counter Kiri, go at Ramatra, but think selfishly for a second. What could you do with trance here? With dynamic positioning, where could you go?
I could play a more aggressive angle on the right and then bail myself out with Trank.
Correct. You could rotate all the way to here, and then all the way to here, and all the way to here, and just keep rotating deeper and deeper and deeper, more pressure, more pressure, more pressure. You would end up forcing the ultimates that you're trying to counter, right? And then you would be able to maybe even get a kill, then trance, and then end up at another angle afterwards. So this is fine. It's fine. I mean, I think that you're just trying to stall, so there's a little bit of nuance there. This one, why do you die?
Because I let the Ramatra walk up on me, and I didn't take an angle.
You didn't take an angle. You
away from the pressure.
You're too close. You're too close. Now I understand why you're too close. You're distracted by Tracer. I get it. I'm not saying it's terribly a troll. But if you can entrance and then start to counter rotate here, and again, you could break his ankles. You know what I'm saying? He would have he would go for your Kiriko, and then you're just a Narnia. Your Kiriko TP's away, GG's. Right? You kind of see what I'm saying? This is some tough stuff. Okay, so let me actually message the next person that we're running a little behind. Because I think really all the Koths provide different ways of looking at this, but I think I'll just do this Oasis map. So if you just pick Lucia, right? And I roll out, okay? Where would you want to roll out? Let's just pick a position, just random position. Where would you go?
Right side.
Over here?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to start here and spamming here. Tracer starts to push you here. Where do you go?
Inside left.
Okay, you start to rotate away. Okay, I got to rotate away over here. So then you're going to go all the way over here. And then here. Now what do you do from here? They start to go... Tracer deepens the flank, right? Is this a long enough sight line for you?
No.
It's not bad. Could be further. What about here?
That's better.
Better, right? Okay. Now, do you just autopilot and go high ground?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what do you do?
Yeah.
Right? What happens if you go high ground and you see the Winston here and he's in that room? What do you do?
Fall back.
Where?
Oh.
You know? So
yeah,
where do
I
you go?
kind of back myself into a corner.
Right. So you're here and you see Winston here. You can't just stay on high ground and be like, oh, I'm fine. This is a good position. That's Overwatch 1 mindset. Doesn't work. So where do you go?
Is he diving me already?
No. But you need to anticipate, right?
I could drop down.
Okay.
I could.
Where do you go?
I was gonna say bottom left, but that seems wrong. Just go back.
You're right back where you were, right? So where do you go?
Yeah. Back. Up the stairs.
Here?
Yeah.
You like this? I like this. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
so you start high. Okay, they're taking left. I rotate. I keep my sight line. You see this?
Okay.
Same thing if it goes the opposite direction, right? You go the other way. Now, what if he's jumping from main? Right? You see him here. You see him. Doomfist is kind of coming here. Where do you go? This window. Don't just stand here and wait for him to dive, right?
Maybe left?
You could go left, but that's closer towards him, right? How about back right? This direction, right? And then even rotating out this direction. You see?
Yeah, those sight lines are a lot more
right.
open.
Now, this particular map is going to be a lot of juggling in between what they call hookah, these rooms right in here, and they're kind of bouncing back and forth. But that's a lot of what this map does. Let's restart, and hopefully we get a different one. Surely. Wait. No. Daytime. That's all we got. Okay, it'll work now. Oh, what? This is. I'm getting screwed over. What is this? What are the odds?
Apparently pretty high.
Okay, this one's good enough, I guess. I would prefer it City Center, but you could probably guess a lot of what City Center is going to be like, right?
Yeah.
A lot of rotating like a wheel. Okay, so you start off. Where do you start off in this map?
Probably default towards high ground.
Okay, so you're going to default high ground. This Doomfist or Winston start salivating. You see them right here, or you hear them rotating up the stairs. What do? Do you stand here?
No.
No, what do you do?
Back and then go main.
Yeah, you rotate this direction. Okay. Establish your sight line. They waste their time. You break their ankles. Now you spam them from here. Okay. What happens if you hear people kind of cluttering in through here? They're starting to rotate around. Uh-oh, Tracer's back here.
Go back high ground.
Go back, or not even, maybe if you don't even get a chance to go high ground, you just create a little bit of space, right? You keep distance here, okay? Now, what happens if they go high ground and you see them continue to go high ground? Where do you rotate from here?
From there?
Mm-hmm.
Probably stick there and spam for a little bit and then back right into that room where you have sight line on them.
Yeah. Now, well, here's the thing. I'm showing you the more conservative variations, but what you could do is if you know that they're rotating, like if you hear them rotating through this left door, you can rotate all the way and you can keep rotating all the way around
And
behind
sort of flip the map
and
again?
flip them out, and you could start killing their backline. You'll notice if you pay a lot of really close attention to this, this isn't the greatest map for demonstrating it, but if you're really good, not only will you dodge dives, but you'll end up on their backline killing their backline. Or you'll be like, oh, there's a Winston over here. There's a Tracer trying to set up a flank on me. You know what? Screw it. I'm going for this Tracer. Bam! And she's not ready for you at all because she thinks, where are you at? Oh, I'm over there. No, I'm not. I'm right here. And you catch her off guard. You kind of see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, it's not great because you did get close to a Tracer. So that's not obviously always optimal, but there's exceptions to the rule. So
yeah, and if you have your other support with you, that can be okay.
Right. But the thing for you is I don't want you to be static. I want you to be creating sightlines, rotate with cover, and don't wait for the dive to happen for you to move. Predict the dive.
Okay.
And now I'm talking a lot about dive, but as you saw, this also applies to Ramatra. This applies to Reinhardt. Keep looking for angles. Keep looking for angles and silence. Angle, silence, and cover. Angle, silence, and cover. And then utilize your Harmony and Discord to help the most important duel. I mean, that's why Zen is so important to, Harmony and Discord, your flankers and your DPS on off angles, because those off angles are the people that are going to be sneaking up on you, and you don't want that to happen. You want to keep everything in front of you, otherwise you die. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, do you have any questions? We talked about a lot of stuff.
Trying to think back. I think you addressed pretty much everything. Let me think for a second.
Sure, you're good.
So is it bad to on King of the Hill? Because a lot of these rotates you were talking about were either like sort of sideways or more in. Is it bad to go more towards like spawn and sort of regroup?
As in, like, okay, they're pushing here, and instead of rotating right, I back up.
Like let's say there's a Winston staging left and a Tracer and a Sombra on right. What would I do there? Just go back?
I would try to create distance and try to pick an angle and push it. So
Okay,
let me show you what that would look like with paint really fast here, like the theory behind it. Because remember, they are trying to set up around a very specific spot. They're trying to kill you by setting up off angles in that specific spot. So what you do is you say, that's no longer an off angle, I'm pushing into you. So for example, Winston's here, you're here, Tracer Sombra here, okay? You got two options. While trying to maintain distance, rotate here, start shooting Winston. Catch him off guard, force him to disengage, okay? You're delaying the dive by catching him off guard and also rotating away from the other flank, okay? Or you do the exact same thing in the opposite direction. Rotate towards the Tracer Sombra while keeping some distance, spam them out, force a locator, force some blinks, so the Winston all of a sudden is like, whoa, he's far away, and my Tracer's already had a recall force. The worst thing that you could do is stand perfectly still. And then everybody's timing is really nice and juicy, right? Don't be a sitting duck. Rotate, push in, hit them in the mouth before they hit you in the mouth. Either prevent it by rotating away, or if they're pincering you, pick a side that has better sightlines and rotate towards it.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And then if the Winston jumps on right to help the Sombra Tracer, then you just rotate left where he was.
Right. Well, if he jumps right, or let's say even if he jumps on you, at that point the teeth of the dive are already gone. You've already forced a few blinks. Maybe you've already forced a recall, or vice versa. Maybe the Tracer Sombra show up on you, but you've already forced the monkey bubble, or you forced the monkey to jump out, right? Then you can handle a Tracer Sombra dive significantly easier. The worst thing you could do is be very easy to stage on, because if they know you're here and you don't move, they could very easily sneak up on you and take no damage. And then wham, right? You cannot let them get on top of you without taking damage. You need to proactively protect yourself by rotating to create a sightline. That's why the sightline rule is so important. My point is not to dodge and hide from dives. My point is to set up sightlines so that you avoid the dive entirely or prevent the dive entirely by spamming them out as they're trying to set it up. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. You seem a little unsure.
Yeah, you said the sightline rule. Is there a specific like like rule other than just like the dynamic positioning?
No, the silent rule is just basically keeping distance. That's all we want.
Okay.
Yeah, you're more of a spam hero. There's obvious exceptions to that rule. Like, Widowmaker definitely complicates things a little bit, but for the most part, create a sightline, spam a sightline. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This is really high level stuff, and this is something that you're not going to be able to execute and understand the first time through.
Okay.
What I want you to do is you have a free replay code review. So I want you to try to apply this for a couple of days. And then if it's 3 days, 4 days, a week, whatever, if you hit a wall or you feel like I'm trying to apply it, I'm not quite getting it, or this one match I wasn't able to figure it out, send me the replay code with 4 or 5 timestamps, and I'll take a look over and I'll send you some feedback afterwards. Make sense?
That's perfect.
The reason why I put so much emphasis on this is because if you're somebody that wants to play as much Zen as you can, even if it's just 70%, you need to understand this, because this is going to allow you to play Zenyatta in situations and maps that otherwise would feel very difficult. Does that make sense?
Right.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
Would it be best if it was a King of the Hill map, or does this like
yes and no, but if, like, let's say you get a weird push map, right? This applies to push maps too, because the positioning is super dynamic, right? Imagine New Queen Street with this theory, right? Holy crap, right? It's a lot of pushing and pulling and rotation and moving. There's no one set position at all, right? So okay, I would give that one a shot. But yeah, any map where you feel like that you try to apply this with hit or miss results, even if it was a good one, be like, hey, I think I did it well here. What do you think? Send it my way. Okay. And if you do have any other questions, shoot them my way too. Heck, you could even take a screenshot of a couple of fights and shoot them my way too. Don't have to limit yourself to just, this one code. Like, if you have other questions about this, don't hesitate to send them my way.
Perfect.
Okay. Nothing else?
If I wanted to schedule another coaching session, you said like a month, right? Or like 2 months or something?
I would say a month, but with what we talked about today, play it by ear.
Okay.
Might be sooner. Might be like 4 weeks.
Sure.
But use that replay code rule first.
All right, perfect.
Okay.